What's up, everybody? It is Flyers Talk A2D live on A2DRadio.com, live reacting to the Flyers and the Sharks, the Finns and the Flyers battling it out right now. 3-1 Flyers. Can they continue holding on here and possibly get a big win? Well, we'll give you some live reactions and we'll find out. Stay tuned. Flyers Talk A2D is coming your way. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new edition of Flyers Talk A2D right here on A2DRadio.com. I am Matt Sensuti along with the broken one, Rob Povia.
Happy birthday, MM. Man,
Yeah.
to be 21 again.
Right. So long ago, it seems. And the Darkwing Brian Daly is not here, but he is here in spirit. And feeling a little under the weather, so hopefully he'll feel better soon. But we are brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy, the doc, Dr. Paul Vidal. You got any aches and pains, go to the doc and make an appointment at www.specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Then visit one of his highly trained teams over in Burlington or Cherry Hill, New Jersey. After a few sessions with them, you're going to feel as good as new. So check out the doc and make sure you get that done. And our poll question for today is TK's post-game comments after the loss to the Avalanche makes you believe this team is a playoff team. Agree or disagree? Obviously, Flyers taking an L to the Avalanche. However, though, they did have some comments afterwards. And while, of course, there are those out there who are the naysayers on the team, or there's always somebody who's trying to say that this player isn't as good as this or this player isn't as good as that, it's good to see that TK, at the end of the day, he's showing that there's that fire and that passion in the locker room that could drive a team to, for lack of a better word for it, overachieve, I guess you'd say. All the same, though, do you agree, Robbie? Do you think that these post-game comments tell the tale that this team is playoff bound or could be playoff bound come the end of this season?
Definitely, Maddie. To your point, this is an example of TK stepping up and taking out that leadership role as he should for this organization. He had me fired up with the hairs on the back of my neck standing straight up, but it was particularly when he was asked if this was a measure stick game for the Flyers, which you could easily interpret it, losing 3-2 to a juggernaut Colorado Avalanche team. But Konechny stated this team is past that point, indicating their expectations are higher than just simply competing with top teams and looking good. Boom, man. That's what you want. That's the answer you want to hear from your veteran, from your team leadership. And you hear the same from Coots as well. And both gentlemen put their money where their mouth is by holding the team and themselves accountable for what didn't go well against even the mighty Avalanche team. Probably guilty of watching them play a little bit instead of playing the puck and sitting back. So ultimately, this is what you want to hear, and it represents what the expectations are on that bench, Maddie, that it is time to make a push for the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we've been talking about the rebuild for a very long time and the restocking of the shelves that the Flyers needed to do. And there's a lot of young talent that is here on this squad. Make no mistake about it. I mean, obviously, do we wish that they were scoring like 8 goals, 5, 6 goals a night? Of course we do. But you know what? The team is doing a lot of the little things right, and they're really trying to turn this thing into something really special here. And even when Torts was on his way out, he said that this is a special group of guys. And you know what? In a lot of ways, I think that's true, because look at how they've responded to Rick Tocchet. You go to a new team, a new system, there's always that worry of, okay, are they going to mesh with the new coach, or is there going to be a problem? Is there going to be issues? And so far, they've been responding very well to Tocchet, and they've been learning from Tocchet, and obviously there's been those little worries and concerns about certain players. Obviously, Mitchkov was one of them, having taken the time off and everything like that instead of staying focused and honed in. And okay, mistake made as a young man, but you can recover from that and you can learn to recover from that. And very young player. So, young men make mistakes. He's only 21. He just turned 21. He hasn't even a day into 21. So it's like, okay, young kid, he's gonna make errors in judgment. I mean, hell, think back to when you were 21. Were you perfect? No.
No, far from it. Far from it, my friend.
Yeah.
Still not.
But all the same, though, I do think that this team does have a fire and a passion in them. Can they be a playoff team? But the way they're playing right now, the way they keep this up, the way they've been responding to taking tough losses and then rebounding with big wins, maybe even bigger wins, honestly. You got to give them something here. It's like, okay, still maybe a lot of hockey left to be played, but let's not, take away or disparage what they've accomplished so far.
Right. And they've responded very well. This group has responded very well to Rick Tocchet, especially newcomer Trevor Zegras, who, where would this team be without him at this point? That's what you got to think about. And you better be locking that man up come off season, because the point production that he's giving you right now is at an elite level. Responding, what's up, Dales? Feel better soon, man. He was on earlier pre-show making sure I was coming in smooth, and he looks like he's on the mend. One more night of eating well and getting some good sleep. Hopefully, we won't keep him up too late, and he can get that first clip off early tonight. But anyway, this group has responded well. Where they're not scoring 6 to 8 goals a game. They're not that offensive juggernaut where maybe we thought they might respond to Rick Tocchet, but they're adapting that defensive style that proved Vancouver to be a very good 5-on-5 team. And this team is equaling that at this point, playing very well on the PK and taking care of business. So ultimately, I think it starts from there. And then when you see guys starting to finish and have that confidence, that's the extra work that you see going on at practice, at the whiteboard, running those plays again and again. And this is a group of hardworking guys. Even your elite superstar, who maybe Anaheim thought his head was in the clouds, all I've seen is a hardworking kid that likes to have fun, likes to ham it up with the boys, and that's good. You got to keep it loose. You need a player like Casey, like Noobs was back in the day, right? You need players like that, but ultimately, Rick Tocchet has steered the ship very well, Maddie. I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, when you were talking about the defensive game, I mean, that foundation was already laid out because Torts had kind of instilled that kind of mentality to begin with. Now, did it work out for everybody? No. Maybe it was a little too strict, and maybe it constricted some players. Obviously, Mitchkov was one of those guys. I mean, also on top of it too, he's also had to learn a few things this year as well. Again, young player, still growing. But the point being is that while it didn't work out for everybody, the foundation was laid for a lot of the players of, hey, let's make sure we're on the right side on both sides of the ice, not just on the offensive side or not just on the defensive side. Let's make sure we're on both sides of the ice and we're ready to go at the end of the day. And I think that Tocchet has taken that and he's helped kind of establish maybe a little looser, but still a strong system at the end of the day that can show, okay, we've got this. Meanwhile, I believe a penalty was just called, and I think it's on the Flyers, unfortunately. Yes, it is. Mitchkov just got called for high sticking. So, oh, God, good Lord. That was egregious. Yeah, so, all right.
Tocchett's expression there says it all. It's a bad time to take that penalty. And that's what you're seeing. Like in terms of, like I said, the leadership pointing the finger, this has been an example of guys getting a little lazy, a little lackadaisical, and taking dumb penalties at wrong times that put yourself shorthanded. He gets tied up there, and one could say this, the San Jose forward kind of skated into that, but
You could say,
I
but
mean,
I mean,
ultimately, that's how you draw penalties, and we saw
right,
Gurbenkin earlier in this game do that quite
right,
effectively. So
right.
there has to be the equalizer at some point.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you got to be careful when you're doing that because you're coming down and you're doing this. It's like you're just asking for the ref to take a look. It's
Yeah,
like you just
yeah,
gotta be a little bit more, careful with that. I get it. You want to stop him because he's coming in on your goalie, but at the same time, it's like, remember, it's the bad angle. As long as the pipe is sealed, you should be okay. Don't force the ref to have to make a call on you there. But Swoopy saying, I think fans and media are getting ahead of ourselves with the rebuild. Don't rush it or feel forced to go faster than they should. I think it's happening. It's a mistake. I hope Danny B and Jonesy don't. And I agree. Still, it's good to shoot for good, high, lofty goals, of course. There's nothing wrong with having those goals, but you do want to take it one step at a time. I mean, it's the same thing as, say, working out. Do you immediately start running a damn mile in the gym? No, because you're going to kill yourself if you do that.
right.
You take your baby steps before you get to that point. Are you going to start lifting, 100 pounds, deadlifting 100 pounds? No, you're not. That's ridiculous. You want to throw your
Tear
back
out your
out?
asshole. Damn.
Yeah, right. You want to friggin' do that? Like, take it one baby step at a time, and then eventually you get the results that you want. And that's exactly what the Flyers have to do. Continue to respond well to adversity, and
Right,
the results come.
right, right. Well, Maddie, I like getting back to Rick. I like how he takes the reins with the media, and he does it in a different way from Torts, in a way that's sort of amicable, like I'm your buddy, but I'm going to tell you how it is. And he got criticized for playing the fourth line late in the game against Avalanche, but and this is compliments of, I want to give credit to where credit's due, Charlie O'Connor from Philly Flyers podcast. Y'all know Charlie O'Connor, legend. Uh, uh, he goes, Taka, quote unquote, goes, so what it comes down to is I'm a culture guy. The shift I'm talking about, I don't remember the one in the second period. You guys are dragging tongues on the bench. We have guys dragging tongues on the bench, and our team is a team that needs to use the bench. They're going to be playing 8-9 minutes. I thought a couple games ago they gave us some juice, referring to the fourth line. Yeah, they're struggling. They want to get some points. I get it. We're playing long ball here, though, and trying to get the team culture. It's hard to play armchair quarterback. Why can't you do this or do that? I got some guys that are tired on the bench. I don't feel it's right to use them or overuse them. He's like, if you want to
Right.
build a winning culture, you're running four lines and a culture where everybody relies on each other. That's my interjection there. Getting back to his quote, I've heard some people say it's better to put this guy in, this and that. I think that's bullshit personally. This is a team thing. I'm a culture guy. We're building a culture here. Well, 5 minutes left. Why do I have the fourth line out there? Why not? We have tired guys. Some guys had a minute and a half shift. I look at two guys. Guys are tired. One guy came off early. I've got to get a shift out of the guys. They're NHL players. Maybe you guys don't think. I'm not saying you personally don't think they are. So I feel put them out there. That's what I believe in. Are they doing enough other things? No. Listen, they've got to produce. I get it. I get that part. And we're going to have to figure something out. But in the meantime, that's what we have. That's what I'm going to try to do. I'm trying to build their confidence. I don't read the tweets. I don't listen to podcasters, a la us. I'd be out of a job. I think this is a wonderful philosophy where how would you not run through a brick wall when you hear your man say that to the
Right.
media? Like, basically saying like, I'm playing each and every boy, like wherever you're at in the roster, we're a team, you're building a culture. And it's still more about the wins and losses, even if you're playoff relevant, because if you want to build a thing that's long lasting, he's saying, we're playing long ball here. That's what they're trying to build. And I think it's really great foresight. This is a more educated Rick Tocchet than when he had former jobs in this league. And it's to the Philadelphia Flyers betterment.
Right. Right. And I think, and Bry was saying that it was a big kill for the Flyers on that, and it was. The Flyers did
Yes,
kill off
sir.
that penalty, and right now it's about 3 minutes left. The Sharks have emptied the net. They were doing it very, very much in advance. They are down by 2 goals, so I could see why they did it.
Sure.
With Damien saying, as much as I like Zegras with the Ducks, he needed a change. I agree wholeheartedly, Damien. You are 1,000% right. He needed a change of scenery. Um, Swoop is saying, don't mortgage the future or give up picks in a trade. That's 3 years away. Keep building it as a young core first. Make sure this team will be great, but within a young first for a long, sustainable team long term. If we are going to make big moves before 3 years, then do it through a signing or free agency at a position of need. They don't have prospects that or will be up soon that will hinder them.
I
And
agree, except for one name that we'll mention later in the show when we talk about
right.
Danny B's willing and dealing. Go on, Maddie.
Right. So anyway, but yeah, getting to let's see here. Oh, hey, what's up, Wills?
What's up, my
And
brother? Always
Bri
good to
was
hear from you.
saying
Happy holidays, everybody. Happy holidays, fam. Getting into the
happy,
Christmas spirit. It's always a good
yeah,
time of year. Always a good
yeah,
time of year.
happy holidays, no matter what holiday you celebrate. Um, Brian saying, I love that they are building a culture, and I agree. They should be. And he's also saying people undersell the importance of culture in the locker room. That's true. That's true. I mean, we think about it in a lot of ways. People talk about like, oh, well, the results are not always constantly being put up on the board. I'm like, okay, yeah, bad nights at the office. No one is you're not gonna crush it every single night. I mean, that's just not gonna happen. I mean, hell, freaking perfect example. Flyers went out on the road and they hit Dallas. And at the end of a long road trip, they were tired and they got dunked on by the Stars. And it's like, okay, yeah, I'm not surprised that happened. The Stars are a fucking cup contender. So it's like, okay, yeah, Jason Robertson put a 3 spot on us and got himself a hat trick. It's like, okay, it happens. You want to know what the Flyers did the very next game? They won. That's all that you need to know. That's really all you need to know at the end of the day. It's like, look at what this team does. This team responds very well to that type of adversity. Whereas if we were on the tape 2, 3 years ago, we could be on a long stretch of losses after something like that happening. So let's give them credit. Swoopy here saying, Maddie, a few years ago on one show, you absolutely went off on a tangent for 15. Yes, saying Flyers kept always trading for vets and not build young. We need to build those first, not buy a team or trade for. Make this team be built. Then, if you are in need of that, I want to hear you go off again about that saying to keep this rebuild going and don't rush or get away from it. Well, I don't need to yell and scream. I know that's what you would want, but let me. I'll say this.
The Matt rant. We need the video. Where is it? You got
Yeah.
access to it, Maddie?
I think I do. I'll look it up. But my point is that I only really rant when I'm feeling like I need to rant. And right now I don't feel like I need to. Like genuinely I just feel like right now they're doing what they have to do.
Yeah.
And a lot of it they haven't really been trading. They haven't been doing anything weird. They haven't been making any crazy ass signings that would leave you scratching your head wondering what the fuck are you doing right now? It
No,
seems
they're just
like
playing. They're contending.
right,
There's
right,
they're more than measuring up to teams to where to what what TK was saying after the Avalanche game, right? They're showing that strong effort, that resiliency, despite they outshot the Avs 14-3 in that third period.
right,
And so I mean that's what you want to see. Just that we talked about that the last time that I was on with you boys.
right.
About how resilient, and that's all I heard. That was like a ringing message that like from anything you were hearing or reading about this Flyers team. So that's what you want to see. And in the meantime, you're hoping, and just missed the empty net
I know it was
by
close.
a hair.
Yeah.
2 minutes left to go. I got what you
Whoa,
got.
whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. At least their thing got back up. Freaking one of the sharks fell right into him.
I'm a little bit behind. I saw that. Yeah. It's something. He's a base back up. None worse to wear.
Right. I was like, uh-oh. But Oh, yeah, that was close. It almost went
Yeah.
off of Will Smith's stick and almost grazed right into the net. Is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that okay, so that's what happened. It looks like Celebrini got dumped and then he rolled right into him. I give credit though too. The Flyers have kind of negated Celebrini tonight. So, and
Yeah.
that's not an easy thing to accomplish because
Yeah.
Celebrini's been crushing it this year.
I
So,
mean, this is the Matty Bowl, like so to speak, right?
yeah.
So you're familiar with both squads, like much like when the Flyers are playing Anaheim for Brian.
Yeah, absolutely. And TK just got himself an empty netter, so that is
This-
lovely to see.
And that's the hockey gods. Give it, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like playing the right way, saying the right things, encouraging the team, and then he rewarded with an empty netter. That's
Right,
excellent. That's
right.
excellent.
Let's see here. We got John chiming in. What's up, John? Saying, wonder when we will see last year's Mitchkov. Want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a happy and healthy New Year. Thank you, John. We wish you the same. And will we see last year's Mitchkov? So we might see it. I'm gonna say this. I think we'll see it in the second half. That's my prediction for that. I'll say we'll see it in the second half. I think because he took that time off and everything, he's starting to get his feet back under him and everything. I think we'll see it later on in the season. I don't necessarily think we'll see it right now. That doesn't mean that he won't contribute, but he will. I just think that, again, the time off, I think, cannot be overstated. You take some time off and you start, you're not as focused on what you should be focused on, you're going to fall back a little bit. And I think that that's what we've seen this year.
Right.
Again, it's a maturity thing, and it's just something you grow out of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but we have seen flashes of it though here and there. I
Yeah.
mean, we saw on a breakaway tonight. He had a gorgeous opportunity, and Couturier is really looking for him up ice, and they're really developing good communication on the ice and when to feed him because we saw that result in a goal lately during their excellent holiday road trip. And we almost saw it again tonight. The Delkovich had to make an excellent save in order to keep that puck out. So we're seeing it in flashes, and yeah, I agree. By the second half, you're going to start seeing it more and more.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's also when the games really matter. So, so that'd be a great time for him to start, really showing some flashes of brilliance there. What's up, Priz? And thank you, by the way, brother.
You.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Happy holidays, man.
Yep, absolutely. One for one young trades, I'm all for. Well, in a way, that's kind of what we can talk about in a little bit when we start talking about the possibilities of trades coming into that situation. And Flyers have officially won.
Always good evening.
Yes. And big win, a little present from the hockey gods for TK after saying the words that needed to be said, and also a birthday present for one Matvey Michkov, getting a win for his birthday. And even though, and hey, also, Vladar doing well. So solid effort from the Flyers here. They got the job done. I mean, they responded well after the Sharks scored, and then they tied it up. And then after that, they took control of the game. So, again, credit given where credit is due. Flyers playing well against the Sharks team that, they have some talent, but they're a team that's still working on themselves and still developing themselves. And while, yes, they have a superstar in Celebrini and they have a really strong player in Will Smith as well, Flyers did a great job of negating that really for the most part and just taking full advantage of, okay, this is a team that's beatable, and they did their job at the end of the day. So there you go. Good job from them.
Amen. And I want to give a shout out to Ty Murchison making his NHL debut tonight. I was looking up how much the young defenseman. Yeah, he put up 14, almost 15 minutes of ice time. He was started off early in the first period. He had like 5 or 6 minutes in the first period. I'm like, what is Todd going to give him, like 20 minutes of ice time tonight? I would see why. I mean, his family's up in attendance from Arizona as they interviewed during the game, but Murchison +9 in 21 games for the Phantoms. He earned this call up to make his NHL debut tonight. He's a big-bodied defenseman, 6'2", 205 pounds. So that fills an absence that this team lacks without Risto. And he played well tonight at times when watching earlier on before we went live. Really making some good decisions in the corner board. So it's good to see this team's depth and making maybe names of deals behind the scenes that you might not be familiar with, but Danny B and his staff are.
Absolutely. And also Carl Grundstrom, his first game as a Flyer, and he gets a goal on top of it. So a lot of really nice things happening tonight.
Former Shark, as Brian pointed out.
Former Shark, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. So very nice to see that happen. And the interview with Ty Murchison now, who the Flyers drafted back in 2021. So congrats to him on his NHL debut, and congrats to Grundstrom with his goal and his first one. So let's take a look here, see what else we got going on in the chat. Swoopy saying, Bissonnette saying trade Michkov, what a clown. Bissonnette will say some dumb shit, so I'm not surprised that he said something stupid like that. You don't trade away a player who has all the talent in the world to be a game changer. That's really fucking dumb for him to say that. I don't know why. He said too many Pink Whitneys. Anyway, let's see, and Swoopy saying he's growing. Absolutely, Michkov's growing, as a lot of young players are, and we're seeing some really good dividends out there. What's up, Don? Hope you're doing well out there, man. See how hopefully the Red Wings are doing well. And let's see here. Bry, yeah, win for the Flyers. Yes, they needed to have a strong win after taking that L to Colorado. A lot of good stuff. Yeah, he is butt chucking Pink Whitneys. You're not wrong, Chris. You're not wrong. Oh, man. Let's see here. And Swoopy saying Celebrini, what a freaking awesome name. So cool. Absolutely. And the kid is so talented. Oh my God. He is beyond talented. They're actually comparing him with a young Sidney Crosby. Some even argue and say that he's actually as good as prime Crosby already, which is crazy to think people are already making those kind of comparisons. First off, that's crazy to think for 1 second. Secondly, on top of it, that's huge for the Sharks because they need a superstar. And for them to get somebody like Celebrini, who has all the potential in the world to be that, I mean, my God, it's crazy enough to already think that it's paying dividends because the Sharks had actually been playing pretty well. I mean, obviously, they've been on a bit of a skid. A little bit. I mean, they still got a win in Carolina. They took a nasty loss against the Capitals, like it was a 7-1 beatdown against them. Tonight, though, they take an L to the Flyers. Obviously, out of my love for the Sharks, my love first and foremost is to the Flyers. So I'm happy with the result nonetheless. It's still good to see that this kid, he's got so much talent, and Will Smith's got talent. This is a very promising San Jose team out there. So all I got to say is the California teams are making a comeback. I mean, LA has been in the playoffs these last few years, but they can't get out of their own way against Edmonton. But the Ducks and the Sharks are very much rebounding. So, yeah, Pacific Division's looking a little bit more intense than it has in the past few seasons. Let's see here. So the Sharks will have a better long-term and win a championship, unlike Edmonton, after getting lots of high picks early in the draft. I mean, I can't disagree with you, Swoopy, in the sense that I feel like the Sharks have kind of approached their rebuild a little bit more maturely, whereas I feel like Edmonton really got top-heavy and top-loaded. And not to say that Edmonton can't play defense. They've shown the ability to do that, but the problem is they do give up still a lot of goals, and they've had the issue of not having a strong goaltender in the past. So, yeah, Edmonton's had their woes when it comes to that. But I will say I think the Sharks are handling a rebuild a little bit better. I think Mike Greer's approaching it a little bit better, honestly. I mean, it helps that you don't have to worry about big boy contracts right now, so that does help the situation. We'll see what happens when it's time for Celebrini to get his big boy contract. But as so far, I'd say Greer's doing a really good job of rebounding that team. What's up, Heather? Saying, hey, boys, long time no see. Hope everyone is doing well, and hell yeah on the win. Damn right. Hell yeah on that victory tonight. Yeah. So you got Bryce saying good win. What's up, Bryce? How you doing, brother? And I don't know. It's not Christmas yet, but you know what? Hey, the Flyers gave us a present early, so I'll take it. Um, let's see. And we've got. Are we gonna have a show the next couple of weeks? Uh, well, we'll keep you guys posted on that. So we'll see. I mean, I think next week, obviously we'd have a show. But I mean, as for like the week of Christmas, I don't know. We'll have to keep you guys posted on that one.
Yeah, might sit out that one, but yeah, I apologize for missing last week, but hopefully I'm back on a reliable device now. uh, Thankfully got it early. It's always nice having your birthday near Christmas. You know what I mean? I'll just leave it at that.
Right, right.
But I appreciate the generosity of people. They know who they are.
Oh, well, that's good to hear. The Swoopy saying, I don't think the Sharks will waste their talent like Edmonton has. Um, and then he agrees with me. Thanks, Swoopy. So, all right. Is it Chris saying nice? I thought I was tripping with a happy Christmas going around. No, no, no. You're not tripping. Um, so obviously big win tonight for the Flyers. Strong rebound victory. Again, shots on goal 30-18, by the way, which is crazy. That definitely shows the Flyers had control over this game. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. From Jump Street, they came out and just bull rushed this young San Jose team. Didn't have an answer till about the 10-minute mark when they got their first shot on goal, which wound up being a slam dunk goal in the back of the net for a gorgeous play from Will Smith. What a playmaker he is. Gorgeous hands there in front of the net. The name of the goal scorer from San Jose, Graf, who's had an upstart season, his sixth goal on the year. Klingberg, it was just tic-tac-toe. But before that, it was 10-0 in shots. And that trend continued throughout when you're playing good in the neutral zone and you're bottling up nice, you're going to, not forget about eliminating second and third chances. You're going to eliminate those primary chances, which is ultimately winning hockey. That's the captain, obvious statement of the evening, but it is true. So it's a great way to play hockey. But ultimately, you're seeing great play from Christian Dvorak, playing strong 200-foot hockey, him chipping in with a goal too, to credit himself. Noah Cates continues to play that role. You gotta like the way this team has been getting level play from the center ice position, correct, Maddie?
Yeah, and it's a position that obviously in the past the Flyers have had their interesting issues with. Wingers have also been a question mark at times for the Flyers too. Obviously, we talked about how the Flyers really don't have too many natural wingers, but at the same time, I think that the center position has been a strength for the Flyers. Could the face-off circle be a little bit better at times? Sure. Face-off circle hasn't been perfect this year, but they have been getting strong play all the same. And they have been getting a lot of strong two-way play, which is very important. So again, there's been a lot of positives coming out of that position. And so credit given where credit is due for the Flyers on that one. They're really working hard on not only establishing strong two-way play, but and the thing about it is that strong two-way play has resulted in opportunities offensively and have allowed opportunities to open up offensively for the Flyers. In a way, it's kind of like, okay, we have played solid on the blue line, and then you get rewarded because the team gets stifled, you cause a turnover, you get opportunities the other way, or you can pounce on a team because they're already frustrated and they can't seem to figure it out, and then you take advantage of that at the end of the day. So if anything, I think that the two-way play has resulted in those opportunities going that way for the Flyers.
And you start to question, is it derivative of the talent pool that was already here, or is it resultant from Rick Tocchet's coaching? Because did you expect this level of defense to be played by Noah Juulsen? Because I didn't, and he's really made what we perceived as a big-time area of weakness coming into this season has been not an Achilles heel and maybe even a strength.
Absolutely. And I think again, for Juleson, definitely with Rick Tocchet being here, but I also think again, this team just already having that foundation put in place by Torts of that defensive mindset of, hey, be defensive and get strong on that blue line, and you will get the results you want on the offensive line. And that is absolutely, and that's something that I think absolutely that's what the Flyers have really done well of establishing strong defensive play and has resulted in them getting the results that they want offensively. Has the offense always been there? There have been times where they've had some issues, but for the most part, while they've been strong defensively, eventually they wind up grinding out wins or they get a big win because they have an offensive flurry. Can they get a little bit more consistent with that? Sure, I will give them that. It's like, okay, I'd like to see a little bit more consistency in that. However, though, they're still getting the results they need, and a lot of it just coming from that defensive play. And a lot of it, again, Tocchet carrying on a lot of that foundation that was laid. And it's been getting the results.
Agreed. Yeah, and it kind of shows the mastermind that Briere and Jonesy have become, and it's really become a great partnership. I was listening to an interview with Danny B recently, and he was just stating how they complement each other well, and Danny B is an excellent identifier of talent and skill and what's going to make it at this level, and Keith Jones understands how this league operates, and the two of them together, now Rick Tocchet in tow, it goes to show, I think there was somewhere in the back of John Tortorella's mind where he thought he'd be the long-term guy here, and I just don't think Danny B and Jonesy thought the same way. They had the ultimate plan. Was Rick Tocchet their ultimate target? I don't know.
I mean, it's hard to say, but I mean, at the same token, though, if it wasn't so far, it doesn't really matter, And at the same, again, foundation laid, Tocchet's improving upon that foundation,
Right.
and that's all you can ask for someone who's coming in, and taking over a squad that again was very defensive in its nature. He's taken it and used it to that advantage and really helped enhance that. So again, if that's going to be a strength, that's going to be a strength. There's nothing wrong with that. It could work. I mean, hey, defensive hockey won championships in the past. Wouldn't be a shock if it won again,
True
Dale
story.
saying, yeah. Dale saying center is a position they need to address and get some natural centers, but I agree they have been better than expected this season. Bry also saying defense has been really good this season. Imagine how much better they'd be when they land Quentin Hughes.
You're reading the cue cards, my friend. You're reading my cue cards.
It's almost like he helped write the lineup for the show or something.
Well, I mean, to Swoopy's comment earlier, and this is who I was addressing, is that would be the one guy that I'd be willing to give up some of the prospect pool that we've collected and or draft picks that we've collected at this point, because if you can land a Quinn Hughes, right, and it's got to be, where you're making a lot of these underlying deals to maneuver money, but it's got to be a trading sign where there's agreement where you're trading and you're taking a risk to get the leg up, to get the guy in the building, get his foot in the door, get him a taste of what they're building here, right? Have him drink the Kool-Aid and then sign a long term, right? But you've seen a lot of these deals, especially in hockey, where it's like a day or two after the deal, boom, announcement of like the 8-year, so well, now it would be 7-year extension, max contract. Now I think it's takes place next year for the NHL.
Was 7 or 6?
Did it go from 7 to 6? I thought it went from 8 to 7.
No, I was just double checking. You're probably right on 7.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I've been. It's a busy holiday time. It's hard to keep things straight. I know the fam agrees with me, but in either event, that's the guy that I would. I mean, there's been talk out there. Let's get right into it. Dale's was putting it out too. 8-7. Thank you. Thank you. So Tippett's name has been out there and he's been showing good promise this year, right? Also being able to finish a little bit more, but still a streaky player. But his name has been, a player of interest that Vancouver could be, interested in ascertaining. So if you could package him, Brian said that Jetlachenko's name has come out, especially since it's like you kind of don't have the room for him to play at this level and learn at this level. While he's at a better situation with Brentford now, right? Rather than in the OHL, still he could benefit from playing on the NHL level. Maybe, Vancouver has that opportunity for him to do so. If you can bring in a Quinn Hughes and really lock down this defense with Sanheim and York and Jamie Drysdale as your core four, I am in for it. I'm in for it.
Yeah. I mean, it's been an interesting rumor mill churning out over the Quentin Hughes situation. What's up, Greg? Priz was talking about what we'd be willing to give up. I mean, honestly, I've heard Tippett, I've heard Sanheim, I've heard that been thrown around, the Luchenko one, of course, and then picks. Honestly, I know originally when asked, I said Sanheim because I feel like it'd be just a trade-off of just having an upgrade to the position, which, I mean, I'm always fine with an upgrade to a position. If you're like, all right, so we're trading one player for another player. It's the same player, same position, but it's an upgrade from the other one. It's like, okay, I can kind of dig that at the end of the day. Plus, also you have the advantage of a former coach already on the team. So that does add a little bit more to it as well. But that will add no matter what you trade for him in the first place. But as it continues to go on, I'm okay with Luchenko going. I mean, I understand and I get that you don't want to trade too many young pieces away. I know that would be one that I don't necessarily like seeing go away. But at the same time, if we don't have the room for him, that's going to be a problem because it's like if we don't have the room for him, then what are we going to do? And then obviously that's not it because it's not just Luchenko. I mean, we've got players that have yet to really, Bonk has had a couple of moments here and there, but he's, on his way to being on this team, most likely. And then, of course, besides him, Martone is going to eventually show up.
Right. Jack
There's
Nesbitt, you got a
Nesbitt.
center where he's a little bit further behind as an 18, 19-year-old, where by the time he's Jetlachenko's age, that opportunity is there for him to jump right in the NHL and hit the ground running. So you're breaking an egg now to make an omelet later. And as much as I've liked what I've seen from Jet, he's still of the smaller body variety. And if this team mission is to get bigger, then you could make a pivot there by and end it up with a very talented player with Quinn Hughes. So I don't see how you don't, try to make an orchestrated deal like that.
Yeah. And yeah, what's up, Tommy? And you're right, brother. Big win. And Priz saying, I'll say if any team trades for Hughes, do it now. So if he doesn't resign, y'all could flip him. Hate bringing Miko up, but you have to protect yourself, and that is not wrong. Your head's in the right spot there, Priz.
Right. And that's the thing is that it may not take what people are saying it will take to get him. If his intention is, look, Vancouver, I'm not resigning here. Right. And they know that. And a team like the Flyers know that. It's going to take time. Right. So I would try to orchestrate where, we're trading for you. Will you sign this deal? It's a done deal. You work it between player and team, and you've seen that done, in this league. Even if you want to just get him in the building and then work all that out later, right? You still take the chance because just like Priz says, you could flip him and still, bring back the value that you lost. I mean, but the thing of it is, though, is if you give up a Jet Lachenko and you're not able to sign Quinn Hughes, that's a bad look.
Yes, that's the thing that worries me. If you can't get him to commit to the idea of re-signing in the future, That is a little bit of a problem for me. So that's the only thing that gives me a hang up on Hughes, where it's like, okay, if I'm giving up a young player and I'm giving up a prospect I like, and I'm willing to give them to you, I need reassurance. Very simple. I need reassurance. Flip or no flip, I still want reassurance. Because even if you try to flip him, is it going to be a guarantee you're going to get what you want if you do? Because that's also going to depend on how he performs in your jersey. So say he goes to the team and he doesn't perform very well. He's just kind of there and he's just a body on the ice. Not saying that would be the case, but then you try to flip him and no one's interested. It's like, yeah, I'm not surprised no one's interested. He didn't play well. So you do, like you said, you run that risk of that happening if you can't re-sign him and then you trade a young prospect away that had some promise. Yeah, I agree with you on that one. It's a little risky to be worried about that. And you're right, that's not a good look. A lot of teams would be like, whoa, that's piss poor.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I mean, in the meantime, you pulled in, um, little deals to orchestrate behind the scenes, like you pull in from Tampa Bay, Roman Schmidt, as we just saw Ethan Sampson being dished off for. It wasn't really working out with Salamalu, so they were able to get value there. So um I'm trying to see who they got for Salamalu though. That's what I forget. Let's talk with Brian about it earlier. Let me see if I can look that up.
Well, while you look that up here, Swoopy's comment saying everything you're saying is why I'm not doing it. And I understand, Swoopy. Believe me, I get it. No, trust me, I totally understand where your head's at. I mean, it is a gamble. If you really don't, if you don't feel comfortable, and that's the thing, like, you have to trust Danny to know, like, okay, if he's in the room and he's having the conversations, which obviously he would be, if he feels like Hughes, if he can't feel that reassurance, if he can't get that reassurance that Hughes would want to be here, Christian Kyrou.
No, thank you. That's who it was. Thank you. Who chimed in with that?
Swoopy.
Thank you. Appreciate you, Swoopy. Yeah, great. Yeah, which that's a good move too. Like I like that name too, is underneath or whatever. And in the end, you're freeing up spaces before. But anyway, continue, Maddie.
But I was just gonna say, like, yeah, and you got to trust Danny to feel like, okay, he's in the room, he's listening to the conversation. If he doesn't feel like he can get the reassurance that Hughes would want to stay here, then I think Danny would be smart enough to know, like, okay, I got to walk away from that. Like I can't trust that.
Right. Right.
And I wouldn't either if I was in the room. I'd be like, listen, if I can't get reinsurance that this guy's going to want to stay here, then why am I trading away a prospect for him? That makes no sense. I would rather.
Well, you could risk. Oh, you would rather.
I would rather if I had to do if I can't get the reinsurance from him, if I can't get that from him that he would want to be here at the end of the day, if I can't be convinced that we could re-sign him, I'm not making that move.
Right.
And that's my only hang up with him. It's like, listen, I ain't trading away a prospect if I don't feel like you want to stay here. Like that's the one thing that I could see being a hang up. And I totally agree if that's a hang up. If you don't want to be here, if you don't feel comfortable with thinking that you could resign here in the future, then it's like, that's a problem. That's a big problem. And it wouldn't be a problem if we were trading away just a pro now player and a pick. I wouldn't care. But we're talking about a prospect that has promise. And it's kind of like, I don't want
that too.
Yeah, I'm not throwing that away for someone who's only going to be here for half a season or two, and then he's not going to want to resign. It's like, well, then what did we gain out of that? We gained nothing.
For me, I'm telling you, trade and sign like you saw with I can't. His name's fleeting me too. Sorry, I'm off tonight. But in any event, you orchestrate that, or then you take your chances and you sign him via free agency, and that could be a target for free agency. To Swoopy's point, as more and more money is available for Danny being a company, so I'm on board there too.
Right, right. And that is true. The money is going to be available there. That's not really the issue. It's just the question of would he want to? And that's the question of that's the big $1 million question. It's like, would he feel comfortable resigning? Like that's the real that to me is the one thing that I feel like he has to lock down. It's not so much the money, it's more of the hey, can you get him to resign? That's where
Mitch
my
Marner. Mitch Marner. That's who I was thinking of. Sorry, Maddie.
Oh, I got you. Don saying, question for you fellas. What strength and weaknesses for the Flyers? Well, definitely defense is a strength. I would say a weakness for us, center definitely is a weakness, although it's been playing better. But it is still a weakness if we had to go and put the gun to the head on that one. I would also say that while Vladar has been playing very well, I am still concerned about Urson. I mean, don't get me wrong; he's had a couple of decent games under his belt,
Better of late too.
right. But
Right.
again, I'm still a little like, okay, trust is a little shaken on you, but
I got a man crush on Sam. I always try to defend him. Just tell me to shut the fuck up.
man crush on him. Yeah, next thing you know, he's going to be the second coming of John LeClaire. Be hard to do if he's goalie.
Not a bag. Yeah. No, I don't know about all that. I don't know about that. But for me, Don, I think a weakness is knowing when to pinch and when to get back. And a lot of times they've been caught flat-footed, and then the defense has to back in, and it's led to odd man rushes. It's led to tic-tac-toe goals, and that just comes with experience and knowing each other and playing longer with each other. So that's something that these are all. Like everything that I'm seeing weakness wise, right? Even when we're talking about taking a bad penalty there, which to the PK's credit, we talked about how good this team has been playing defensively 5-on-5 and on the PK earlier in the program, which you can check out YouTube, Spotify, wherever you download your podcast, listen to the whole program if you're just joining us now, right? They've been better on the PK. They defended Michkov's error and judgment getting that stick up high and killed that penalty and immediately responded with an empty net goal, which solidified that game. So in the end, don't put yourself in that position where you can give an opposing team, because you may not be playing a San Jose Sharks team. To their credit, they're doing good within their rebuild. They had a winning record coming into tonight. I believe they're at 500 now still, but that's still good for as they rebuild their organization in San Jose. But you play against other teams with better power plays, that's going to come up and bite you. So make good decisions, especially in the offensive zone. Don't take dumb penalties, and learn when to pinch, and they'll get that. They'll get that as they get more familiar with each other, for sure, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. Priz is saying strength-wise, wingers, weakness, center depth, in his opinion. Bry was saying Flyers will have control over Hughes next season too. That is true.
Yeah.
Swoopy's saying, can we see Tippett being a consistent 75-point guy? And his follow-up to that is, if not, I'm trading him.
Consistency is the key component of that, and I say no. I mean, and I want to see it because you traded the captain to get Tippett, and you see so much promise in him, right? But consistency has been a bugaboo. But I mean, ultimately, I'm liking what I'm seeing with his line mates of recent, Maddie. I mean, Tippett. I mean, playing with Sean and Matt Fay, right, has allowed him to be, creativity and maybe not have to be the source, the spark plug. Let Matt Fay be the spark plug. You
Absolutely.
be the finisher.
Absolutely.
And you see that at times, and I'd love to see that with consistency. I'm not giving them up for a bag of nuts either. So, but if it could land you at Quentin Hughes, I got to be on board with that. And if you like, I'd want to keep Sanheim too. I know, Maddie, you said his name's in there where you got to give a big name defenseman back. I'm like, no, you're either getting the big name defenseman, or you're getting the prospect. You're not getting both. I don't think the asking price could be that high.
No.
I mean, I get it. Brian says it's a year control, so that gives a feather in the cap of the team that's trading them, because they have that team that year of control right now as well. So, but as you get closer to that time period, the clock is ticking.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would never no, I would not be packaging Sanheim and a Luchenko. If we're going that route, no. Like if we're going to go the route of trading a Luchenko, then a pick will obviously get thrown in there. I think a pick will get thrown in either deal. But when it comes to trading Luchenko, if you're going to trade one other player, then it's not going to be necessarily a player that's on that caliber. It'll be someone who could be on the team potentially right off the bat, but it's not going to be somebody that's going to be a world changer. Or and if it comes to a Sanheim deal, you only get Sanheim and you'll get a couple picks from me. You're not getting anything more than that. I'm not going to give you both in the same deal. If you're asking both, I'm going to tell you to go fuck yourself. Absolutely not.
I might give you the Sanheim and Luchenko, but then you're not getting Tippett. And to Priz's point, you want to trade from a position of strength, which is a winger, not from a position of weakness, which is center. So ideally, you'd rather it be Tippett involved in that deal. But in the end, if you got to give up both of them, then you're not getting Sanheim. It's going to be a round robin of those two if any prospective deal gets done. And yes, I'm just trading him. And Swoop, we're seeing eye to eye now, as usual. When we talk it out, it's good to give us an hour to talk it out. Just like seeing your psychologist. Like when I see my strength, an hour and everything is right as rain. You know what I mean?
Mm. And I mean, honestly, when it comes to to address, Briere making the small deals, I'm okay with it. I think that, the trades he's been making aren't exactly the players he's getting are good players to just kind of supplement into the lineup, really, for the most part. They're not going to be guys that are going to change anything drastically. So it's like, okay, well, he's just shoring things up a little bit. He's tuning things up a little bit. That's all he's really doing. He's just doing some maintenance, if anything. The trades are not necessarily anything that are going to change the entire outlook of the team. The Hughes trade, if that happens, obviously that's and I will say this, the Hughes trade for me, if that does wind up happening and it does come into an actual formulation, I don't think Danny does anything else. I think he kind of sits off of that. It's like, all right, we got the Hughes trade done. We're not doing anything else. We're going to keep this calm now because, in my opinion, I don't think Danny wants to get trade happy. If he's going to do the Hughes one, then obviously I trust Danny enough to know that it's like, okay, he's going to do his due diligence and he's going to be like, okay, if he feels like one, Hughes is going to want to stay here, then he's definitely going to enjoy the idea of, okay, we can start negotiating on trading him. Two, if he feels like, okay, I'm not going to give up, if it's going to feel like it's a solid swap, then he'll go for it. And then three, obviously, if he feels like Tocchet can bring him in and put him right into that lineup and continue to mold him like he did in Vancouver, then it's like, okay, then why not? But I think that that's where Danny's head's at. I trust him that those are the three things he's taking into account because so far Danny's been doing all the right things. I haven't really seen Danny do anything that would make me scratch my head right now. I mean, I think, I know some people I've been worried about Mitch Kov and things like that, but it's like, I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about him, and I'm not worried about Tocchet coming in. Obviously, I know a lot of people always worry about the stigma of a former Flyer always getting the opportunity above somebody else. But again, I will reiterate this: we've gone outside the organization for coaches, and that hasn't exactly paid off either. So I'm okay with Tocchet coming in, and so far, it's been a really big plus for us. So, like I said, so far, Danny, he's got my trust. He has my trust. I believe that, if he's going to make a deal for Hughes, I'm going to trust it. I'm going to trust it. I'm going to trust that he's going to do it right and make sure that the Flyers don't get screwed in the end.
Right. I think he and Tocchet have the player's ear. They have the player's confidence, right? And ultimately, whether the deal happens or not, it's a great time for them right now because, unfortunately, and I wasn't on last week to offer my, quote unquote condolences to Tyson Forrester. Just when we got an elite goal scorer right now, he gets hurt, and had injury issues, coming into the season, and now going to be out 2 to 3 months with an upper body injury. While he's out, you have an opportunity where you have a gap in your lineup to evaluate your club for a potential, because you're building this brick by brick, and that's what we're seeing with even the small pieces, and eventually leads to big pieces. You build the foundation. Well, you can see what you got at this point. There was some conjecture that you might see Alex Bump get this opportunity. Hasn't come to fruition yet, but over the course of that 2 to 3 months, there'll be other gaps in this lineup, and it may allow him to get his beak wet if they want to start the clock there, right? Maybe they don't want to start the clock there. I get that, but in the meantime, you do have a solid opportunity for Gulbenkian to play higher up and playing in a position where he's filling that Forrester role with Noah Cates and Bobby Brink. And we saw earlier in this game him hard work on the boards against San Jose, drawing a penalty. If for nothing else, he's playing well with that line and, allowing the Philadelphia Flyers to not skip a beat. So it's evaluation time from top to bottom, no matter, because just like I said earlier in the program, we're building a culture here, right? And it's all about supporting your guys and evaluation, and ultimately you got to be pleased with the product so far.
Yeah, I could definitely say that. Priz is throwing out something interesting, talking about Ryan O'Reilly coming to the Flyers, saying that Trotz wants too much for him right now, but the asking price should come down. That's interesting. I mean, center ice wise, I know that he's a lock. There's not a question of that. Be interesting if the Flyers would consider that.
I don't like the age, though. I mean, I don't think it's a good
Yeah.
target. 34 years old. I mean, he would be that type of player that I talked about, Brock Nelson, last year or the year before, who was available at the trade deadline. And if the Flyers were on that cusp of making a playoff spot, you bring in an aging veteran like that to give this young squad an opportunity to punch that ticket to the playoffs. And when you make the playoffs, no matter what happens in that first round, you help accelerate a rebuild, because now you're playing NHL playoff hockey and you're winning to get there.
Now, my question is, how long is like, his age is definitely one thing, but what's his length of his contract right now? That's the other thing to take into account too, because obviously, depending, I think he's making 6.23 million, I think it was. So I mean, it's not the worst contract that you'll ever hear of, obviously, but my question is, what's the length? Because obviously there's going to have to come a point where, okay, well, 3 years, 4 years down the line from now, we got to pay this guy and we got to pay this guy,
Right.
So that's the other thing when we do a trade like that. That's the other thing we got to take into account.
He's got 2 years on his deal. He'll be
Okay.
unrestricted free agent in 27, 28.
Oh, okay. So it's not that bad. It's only 2 years.
Not terrible.
Yeah.
Not terrible. But like I said, that's an opportunity where you're trying to get that guy that could be a good face-off. Yeah, Ryan O'Reilly, tremendous.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I know that the team wants to make the playoffs. But the question is, though, is like, and it gets back to what Swoopy's saying, is like, does that feel like that's rushing it? Where you go and you make a deal for somebody like that. And also on top of it, what is Nashville asking for? Like, I know Pris saying, well, the asking price might come down. It's like, well, how far, what's come down? Like what's Trotz's version of come down? Because if he wants something like really bad, like, it's like, well, here's the problem. You're asking me to trade for a 34-year-old vet who has proven talent and he's won a cup. But at the same time, it's like, he's 34 and 2 years on the contract. It's like, I don't know. He wants a first. I mean,
Yet.
yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I pull that, to be honest with you. That's the other thing too. Nashville is playing like shit, which I mean, Nashville hasn't exactly been the same the last couple of years. They went all in, and the whole negative effect has happened to them. It's crazy with that team. Um, I don't know. That one to me, I'm not sure. I get it. He would be a rental, but again, it just depends on what. I don't know. First is, I don't know. I don't feel comfortable with that, in my opinion. I don't feel comfortable with giving a first for O'Reilly.
No way, Jose. I'm with you.
Yeah.
So, I
Mm.
mean, a second, maybe. I'm
Yeah.
saying
Okay.
maybe, but ultimately, I would rather give two lower picks. Get like what are the Flyers draft? Capital.
I think. Do they have two firsts? I think next year. I think they do. Again, if that's the case, though, I'd still would keep them. I'm not giving away one of those for O'Reilly. I would give one of those away for Hughes. I wouldn't give one of those away for O'Reilly.
They have a first. No, this is where it goes back to where they have just one pick in the first, second, and third round. They do not have a fourth round pick. That was in the Zegers deal. Uh, they don't have a fifth round pick that was traded away in the Sean Walker deal for Ryan Johansson. Uh, they have the sixth round pick and a seventh round pick. And then looking at 2027 is where they have two firsts, if that's what you were talking about, Maddie. Then my
Right.
apologies. Yeah, they have two
Right.
firsts in 2027. I mean, I don't think I'm not parting with one of those firsts in 2027 either, even if it's a weaker class, because I'd rather, a better target. They have a second and two thirds. So yeah, I would trade the 2027 second round pick for if
Mm.
I was getting Ryan O'Reilly.
I
And that would be my best offer.
right, because I mean, if we're not
Because then
going
you can make up for it. We got two picks in the third, and then you're talking about that. That's not this
right.
draft. That's the following draft where you're a little more rich in picks.
Right, and then obviously the first round picks, it's just like we're not even touching those. Like I said,
Right.
I would only think about giving one of those from 2027 away if we're talking about Hughes. If we're not
Right.
talking about Hughes, I ain't pulling out one of those first picks.
Sure.
Absolutely not.
Sure.
Chris saying I'd be okay with two fourths and you split the years. That sounds a little bit better.
Yeah.
If you're going that
I
route,
like that.
yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
Um, And so he was like, nope, not trading a second. And I could understand. I could totally
Yeah.
understand,
I
you
was
know?
apprehensive when I said it too. No, for sure, for sure. I mean, like I said, they got two third rounds in 2027, so you can put one of those and then a fourth rounder from next year. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
like, yeah, you package lower picks. Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Like that to me sounds better, you know.
And they
If
won't take it, and that'll be
right,
fine because it's not. It's kind of counterintuitive to what you're building here anyway right now.
right. Plus also like O'Reilly's O'Reilly's best years are definitely behind him, in my
Right.
opinion. You know, and it's like he did great for his teams. Like I said, he's won a cup, but it's like, okay, 2 years is not a long time. You know, I get that, but at the same token, I think like what you were saying, Rob, O'Reilly would be great if this team was a perennial playoff contender and was always in, you know, which the Flyers are getting closer to that, but at the same time being like, we still have to make the playoffs for the first time with this squad. We haven't even done that yet. So like you were saying, like if this team had made the playoffs last year and the year before that and felt like they needed a shot in the arm and needed to add something depth wise, okay, I could totally see them getting in on that and saying, hey, you know what? Let's talk about O'Reilly because if the center depth is a problem and you're a consistent playoff squad, I'm like, okay, sure up the center position. But we're not even there yet. So it's kind of like, that's where my hesitation is right now. As we were
Right,
saying,
especially when you got a Devils and Rangers team not too far behind the Flyers and Penguins in the wild card. They're not solidified, but if they're more solidified and you just need another team leader guy to help this team get over the hump, or to your point, like you're saying, they're a perennial and you're looking to just add on to that. That's what that a deal like that would be more becoming of it if they were in that position, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like if we were in like a position, like say, for example, we talked about like Dallas. They're a perennial cup contender. They're in the playoffs every year. It's like, okay, sure. Yeah.
Fit.
Yeah. I was like, okay, that makes sense. Like, shore it up. Shore up your center position. Go get
So let's
Ryan
reverse
O'Reilly.
that question. Priz, should Dallas be interested in Ryan O'Reilly? I put it to you, Greg.
Yeah. Swoopy's saying for years I wanted Ryan O'Reilly when he was young. I loved this two-way play. And yeah, that's true. I mean, O'Reilly was he's a proven player. There's nothing questioning his talent. Not questioning that at all, but it's just age, and it's just we're in a different place right now than where we would want to be if we were going to go after somebody like a Ryan O'Reilly. He said if we can get a Tage and include Tippett, let's do it. If we could get Tage Thompson for Tippett, oh my God, yes, we're taking that in a heartbeat. Absolutely. I don't know if Buffalo's that stupid though. I mean, they're pretty dumb, but See, Pris saying, so would y'all rather stay put and not subtract from the team this year and tell the roster, look, it's your year now, go and take that playoff spot? I mean, again, if we're talking about someone like a Hughes, then I'm open to it. But if we're talking about somebody like O'Reilly, I'm like, I'm hesitant on it. It's a different situation. Like one is an established team competing, you go get O'Reilly. One is a team developing itself and trying to make the playoffs for the first time. You get a younger player like a Hughes who's already got some proven talent and has had some great seasons under his belt, pull him in and add to it. It's two very different mentalities with those two types of players, in my opinion.
And Priz and Matt, you're both spot on because that's exactly what it's doing. The words came right up top its mouth earlier in the show. I said they want to build a culture. They want to instill confidence. How do you do that? You don't go to add and you rely upon what you're looking at in that clubhouse right now. And it's an excellent clubhouse. It's giving Bernie's mask every game. It's really, you like what they're building there. So, let the kids play. And it's on you. Go take that playoff spot. I love it. That's well said, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And Swoopy, thank you. Saying if they were already built team ready to compete and be ready to win a Stanley Cup, I'd look into a veteran piece. And then Chris saying the Stars have like 8 centers in their 4 lines. I think the Stars only have 2 natural wingers. Well, I was just using the Stars as an example of like a team that's competitive right now. That's always a cup contender, just as an example. Doesn't necessarily mean that he would be perfect for the Stars, just the different team setup. You know what I mean? Like, okay, they're a competitive team every year, so it would make sense if a competitive team is going after a player like him. But all the same though, that will pretty much do it here for us at Flyers Talk A2D. Robbie, was there anything else you wanted to throw in there in terms of Danny making the deals or anything you wanted to add on with the Flyers and Sharks?
No, not at all, man. I mean, a great win tonight. Good to see a rebound from the loss in Avalanche and keeping playoff position. So I love what I'm seeing, man. It's fun to be a Flyers fan again. It's never been a lack of fun on this show, but when I'm watching the games outside of the show, it's a lot more fun. It's a lot more juice in the building, and it's A+ job on everybody's behalf.
Absolutely. It's nice when the team is starting to bear some fruit from the efforts that they've been putting into rebuilding. So we thank everyone for joining us here at Flyers Talk A2D. To everybody out there in the fam who chimed in tonight, as always, you are the lifeblood of this whole franchise we have here. So thank you very much for staying with us and supporting us. We love you guys. Thank you very, very much for that. Next week, obviously, we will be back ready to go. Let me just double check here, see if we have a game next week to react to. And we do actually. We do. We will have the Flyers battling it out with the Montreal Canadiens. So how ironic, because we actually reacted to a game from them previously, ironically enough.
And I believe that was a Flyers win, so a Habs team that will be coming in looking for revenge.
Absolutely. So from all of us here at A2D Radio, we love each and every one of you. We hope you stay safe, you stay healthy out there. As we said earlier tonight, happy holidays. No matter what it is you celebrate, we'll keep saying it until it gets here, because you know what? Like Bryce said in the comments, just want to spread some of that Christmas cheer. We're brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy, the doc, Dr. Paul Vidal. Any aches and pains, go see the doc. We'll see you guys next week. We'll react to the Flyers and Canadiens. Peace and love, everybody.